Okay, so sometimes I wonder the validity of sharing thoughts I have about different things I see on the internet. The World Wide Web, the TikTok, the Wi Fi. I don't know. Does the name really matter? Um, I'm just like a little bamboozled because there's just all this information out there that I think isn't really helping anybody. I also think I might have lupus because like an ad popped through my TikTok and I'm like, okay, that sounds exactly like what I've been experiencing. So great. Another autoimmune issue, but whatever. Either way, I believe I can heal it, so not really a big deal. It's just hard to deal with while it's still going on. But I believe Jesus will heal me. And I just also don't think Jesus ever like meant for us to punish ourselves or feel bad about ourselves, as like he says in like I guess his missionaries of sorts, the ones that are like doing the good work, kind of accept us all and aren't judgmental. I'm not saying that like judgmental people aren't trying. That's just kind of the space they're in. They just haven't gone through enough, in my opinion. Judging is very easy. Being accepting and kind takes a concerted effort. So, unless you were kind of born that way, which I was, doesn't mean I never judge people. Sometimes I do about stupid shit. But that doesn't mean like I or anybody of you have to like accept it when someone judges you just because you realize that fault is also in yourself. It's not right when you do it, it's not right when anyone else does it. And so the best thing is just to laugh at yourself and wonder why the fuck that came up. So I think, I went into an all black Seventh-day Adventist church the other day. I live in an area where mostly black people and Mexicans live. I moved down here about 2 months ago. And that's fine with me. It's kind of interesting. A little bit of a culture shock. I was watching this guy, a comedian, talk about his daughter, who was, I think he was Arab. How she would like stare at white men, like wonder. She asked her dad if they had eyebrows. I think it's a little bit like that for me. I'm just not used to seeing all these like different faces. So in that way, they kind of seem like aliens to me because I've never seen like a lot of black faces. I've just seen a lot of white faces. And quite frankly, they're not as interesting as black faces. I think my face is interesting, but it's like very light and like perceptive and friendly most of the time. I mean, I can also be stern and stuff and serious, but I think I have an open sort of face. But because I'm an open person, generally speaking. That's not to say I have no faults or whatever. Anyways, this black church experience was kind of funny. I think they were a little uncomfortable with me, but that made it even funnier. And they tried to be accepting. And they invited me back, so it's all good. I don't think people are as racist as you think they are in general. I think it's just kind of an unfamiliarity with other cultures that a lot of people experience, and then fear because they don't know about like those cultures or people, which generally have had like different experiences than each other. I would think have their own sort of history. And that's not to say that I couldn't live a similar life to a black person's life, but I don't know what their life is like because the whole thing, at least in America, there's a slavery history. I mean, I've been like enslaved in my own family within a way. So, I mean, I understand completely the experience of feeling enslaved. But that doesn't mean I understand like the physical experience of someone owning you. That's a little different. There are parts of it I understand, but there's an element that I don't. Whereas like, and not that my ancestors haven't been enslaved. They probably have. I have like French ancestry, Scottish, English, stuff like that. There's a Native American back there somewhere in my lineage, maybe a few hundred years ago. I feel kind of connected to that part of life. Like I feel like also in past lives. That's the funny thing. Like we've all also lived like past lives, in my opinion. So I think we've also actually been like other cultures and people, and we just don't remember it. So there's not really that much dissimilarity in that way. At some point, unless you're like a very young soul, you've experienced slavery, humiliation, torture, bullying. All these things, they're unpleasant, but they're meant to teach you something. I'm not saying that excuses the behavior, but I mean, we're all like learning as we go. And like the kinder world we create and maintain for each other, like the more it's like not permissible for people to be that way, because that will be the thing that is humiliated or made fun of, is the bullying. Which that's not quite the right way to go about treating a bully either. You gotta be a little more clever about it, because retaliation is kind of a way of coping. Taking someone else's freedom is a way of coping with your own feelings of invalidity. So, I mean, I guess essentially, I mean, years ago, I mean, probably my ancestors enslaved black people, because my mother grew up in Dallas, Texas, and my grandmother at one point had a conversation with me about trying to understand the South's perspective and how much the South was damaged during the I might get the wars mixed up. I think the Civil War was like the back and forth north-south thing, right? And she was always kind of a vague person, but I guess I kind of understood from her that there was like suffering on both ends. And well, my grandmother came from a poor family, so maybe they didn't have slaves. But I mean, there were other people, not just like rich plantation owners, that were affected by the war. You know, like there were poor white families down south that also weren't like able to make it. So I would say overall there was like a lot more suffering going on and more acceptance of it, and kind of a foreboding sense in the air at that point in history. That's what it feels like to me. But so I mean, I think we can all learn from like the sins of our ancestors, like just to fight for a more inclusive world. Whether that's like, you know, gay people or whatever. I have Austin, that could be a word, felt fairly androgynous, even though like I'm a fairly like feminine looking woman. I have always felt like I have masculine energy, because I'm powerful. But I mean, women are powerful, and that's kind of a mistake society is making, to like put us in some place when like we're creating the most change, in my opinion, on a lot of levels. I think men are trying, but like men and women aren't working together, so it's not really succeeding, because I think men like deeply need women to create change, and I think it's probably that way the other way around too. Not that I can't create the change in my life without a man, because I think I'm an all-powerful being, so of course I can do that. But the benefit of having both sides together is not something I've experienced and would like to, if there was a man like worthy of me, which I have not found yet, and I've had pretty low standards up to this point, so just trying to improve that. I'm getting pretty good at not accepting shit from other people. I spent a lot of time healing recently. I get freaked out by noises, if that's not obvious. But a lot of dogs barking, and it sounds like doors opening around me. I've struggled with PTSD because I always felt unsafe growing up. You know, sexual abuse, being trapped in a house. I'm barely able to go outside. Stuff like that. Pretty hard on me because I like outside. I feel like I can breathe out here. Indoors, it's like the air is like always polluted. You know, even though my mom didn't use that many chemicals, she was good about stuff like that. She was kind of ahead of her time in that way. Well, she always had me clean the kitchen floor with Comet. I don't know what Comet has in it, but it gave me a headache, so that tells me not anything good. Basically, I haven't known what to wash with lately because normal things, like even non-perfumed regular soaps, give me sort of a chemical hangover for like 2 hours where I feel incapacitated and sick as fuck. So I've been basically like, because my skin hurts all the time anyway, washing myself with like baking soda. And what's funny, on the box it says like it's a skin protectant, which I never knew, but I thought, okay. Then it's sodium bicarbonate is what it said on the box. I'm like, what exactly is sodium bicarbonate? Sodium. Well, sodium is salt, isn't it? Bicarbonate. So maybe it's some offshoot of salt. I'm not sure, but I haven't tasted it because it's poisonous apparently. My mom used to have me brush my teeth with baking soda, which I think might be okay. You're not supposed to ingest it though. Which I probably was a little bit because, you know, when you gargle. So I really didn't like brushing my teeth with baking soda because it tastes like crap. But when we would run out of toothpaste, I would use baking soda. I was kind of the only one who would like consistently brush my teeth. And maybe that's why there wasn't toothpaste in the house. I don't know. She just didn't really take responsibility for things. My mom has paranoid schizophrenia, which has always been like a wonder to me because, like, how did she take care of kids anyway? I mean, we were always late everywhere. I'm not saying anything about everyone who has schizophrenia. I'm just saying my mom was not adept at raising a family. So, I mean, like, all those responsibilities fell on me. And, I mean, I spent more time with my brothers than she did. And I changed more diapers than she did. And she always cooked dinner, which was cool. Sometimes I did. I think I mostly washed the dishes. Probably 60% of the time. And my little brothers did nothing. Well, she couldn't make my brother, who's a year and a half younger than me, do anything. And he would always, like, open the window of the room and, like, run to Albertsons and steal shit. Which I had a stealing phase in adulthood, so, you know, it didn't make me feel good, so I don't do it anymore. But I guess when you're kind of like scarce on time and resources, and you just want to see if you can get away with it, it's kind of a fun sort of thing that way. I don't know. People shouldn't have to pay for food anyway, so that was kind of. But I know the money I give to the store, part of that goes to employees, and I don't want to take from them, so, you know. I know most of it doesn't go to them. But I just still, it doesn't feel like the right thing to do because it's just not a fair balance of things. It's the best I can explain it. I also thought I couldn't get away with it anymore. I felt kind of like it was coming to a close, the amount of time I could get away with it. So, yeah. Anyways, my brother used to steal when he was in high school. I was kind of vehemently opposed to it. When I was younger, I had a friend who stole some shirts from me from JCPenney's in another state. I took the clothes, even though they didn't sell them at the JCPenney's in my state, and just laid them on the counter or put them on a rack somewhere because I was like, I can't wear these. That's how I felt about it. That's kind of how I've always felt about stealing. I was just dating someone who would steal all the time, so I wanted to try it because it looked fun. Like, he could get away with it, so could I. at first I would tell him, like, don't do that, it makes me uncomfortable. I don't want to be around you if you're doing that. And so I wouldn't, like, be around him in the store, and then he would go up to the checkout line and steal things, and so eventually I just gave up. I had tried it too. I'm not proud of that at all. Makes me sad as shit. And I feel like I'm still, like, suspected sometimes. What's funny about it, though, is because I have, like, kind of imposter syndrome. Like, people always think I'm up to some bad shit, when most of my life I have not been up to anything, like, you know, like that. Those fucking freaky dogs. Dogs kind of scare the shit out of me. I think I was bitten by one when I was 5. Shut up. They're fucking insane. He has these yippy dogs. He lets them out these random hours of the day, sometimes like 4 in the morning. I'm not going to be able to talk anymore.